Hey everyone, welcome to another video tutorial from gcacmathsguide.com. Today we're going to look at Pythagoras theorem and the idea behind Pythagoras formula. We're also going to look at how to find the hypotenuse on the right angle triangle. Don't worry too much about what the keyword hypotenuse means and a right angle triangle. If you don't know, I'm going to explain to you in a second. Anyway, this is a C grade topic, yeah. So just to let you know. All right, now let's take a look at some examples. Basically, what Pythagoras did, he found that if you have a right angle triangle, this is a right angle triangle, uh, then you can apply the formula a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Okay, now don't worry too much about what it means yet. Let me explain to you. A squared is basically the small side, so I'm talking about that side here of the triangle. B squared is that side there, and c squared is the longest side. We call the longest side the hypotenuse. Okay, so basically what we found was that if you have a right angle triangle, and we know that this is a right angle triangle because it's got that little square here, and it's 90 degrees, he found that if you have the dimension of that side, if you have the length of that side A, and you square it, which means that you multiply by itself, and you add the other side, which is b here, and you square that, okay, so you multiply b by itself, then it's going to equal to the third side there, yeah? So just to show you an example, let's say for instance this triangle here, A was 3, B was 4, and we're talking about in centimeters. How would you find what C is? But all you have to do is take those numbers, plug it into the formula, and then you can work out what C is. Okay? Now, the other thing I forgot to tell you as well was, whenever you have a right angle triangle, always label the shortest side A, the medium one B, and the longest side, which is the hypotenuse, C. Okay? So that way we keep it consistent and you don't get confused with the formula. Alright, so let's go ahead and see how we can do the calculation and find what the hypotenuse is. So we know A is equal to 3, so always start by writing the formula. So A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. We know A is equal to 3, so we're going to replace it with 3 squared plus, we know B is equal to 4, so we're going to replace it with the 4 squared, and that's equal to C squared, and C is the side that I'm trying to figure out because I don't know it. Now, 3 squared means 3 times 3, and 4 squared means 4 times 4. You're always multiplying the number by itself, and that's equal to C squared. 3 times 3 is equal to 9, 4 times 4 is equal to 16, and that's equal to C squared. Now, the next thing you're going to do is add the two numbers, the 9 and the 16 together, and we know for a fact 9 plus 16 is equal to 25, and that's still equal to C squared. Okay, and now finally, if you want to work out the value of C, so without the squared, what you need to do is look at that as a simple equation, and in order to get rid of the squared, we're going to do the opposite operation, which is taking the square roots on both sides. So I'm going to take the square roots on that side, and I'm going to take the square roots on that side. And if I do that, so square roots of 25 and square roots on that side. If you square something and if you square root something and then you square it, then that cancels out the squares. And here we've got square roots of 25, and square root of 25 is equal to 5, and that gives me what C is equal to. So C is equal to 5 centimeters here. Okay, now let's take a look at one more example where we have a right angle triangle and I'm trying to figure out the longest side, or the hypotenuse if you prefer. So this time I'm going to try to make a triangle which is slightly harder to figure out. And what I mean by that is I'm going to have some decimals instead. Yeah. So there's my right angle triangle, and the dimensions that I'm going to give are, let's say, 8.6. So this side here is 8.6. That side there is 13.9, and I'm trying to figure out the longest side C. If you have decimal numbers, you're going to need a calculator. Okay, so as again, we're going to start by writing the formula, which is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. We know a is equal to 8.6, so we're going to write 8.6 squared plus 13.9 squared. I like to put brackets when I have decimals just to keep things tidy, but you don't really need to. Okay, and that's equal to c squared. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is take my calculator and figure out what 8.6 squared is equal to, because we know for a fact 8.6 times 8.6 is kind of complicated to do by head, and that type of question will come up in the calculator paper anyway. And on that one, we're going to do 13.9 times 13.9, and that's equal to c squared. So let's go and take a calculator. So let's get my calculator out. So here's the calculator, and we're going to enter the first one. So 8.6 times 8.6, that gives me 73.96. So 73.96. And for the second one, we're going to do 13.9 times 13.9, and that gives me 193.21. That's equal to c squared. So the next step is to add those two numbers together. So I'm going to add them together, plus 73.96. That gives me a total of 267.17, which is equal to c squared. And now finally, I'm going to take the square root on both sides. So to take the square root on both sides, so take the square root here and take the square root there. That's going to cancel out the squared here. And on that side, I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to do square root of 267.17. So take that button here, square root of 267.17, and it gives me 16.3453 is equal to C. When you are using the calculator, one tip that I'm going to give you is you always write down 4 digits after the decimal point. So can you see here I've written 4 digits? Yeah. So make sure you write the first four digits after the decimal point. Okay, very important. And finally, what you're going to do is you're gonna try to round this number to 1 or 2 significant figure. Actually, 3 significant figure would be good as well. Now, all you have to do, it doesn't really matter how many significant figure you use, as long as you state how you are rounding it. So this one here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to round it to, let's say, 3 significant figure. So the 3 significant figure is 1, 2, 3, so it's the 3, and 3, next to the 3 I have a 4, so 34 is close to 30, so basically the answer becomes C is equal to 16.30, and we don't need the 0 at the end, or just 16.3 centimeters. Okay, and in brackets I'm going to write 3 significant figure. Okay, if you don't know how to round numbers to significant figures, don't worry, you can take a look at another video tutorial on rounding numbers. Okay, but this is how it's done anyway. Alright then, so this is how you find a missing side using Pythagoras in a right angle triangle, using a calculator when you've got decimal numbers, and without using a calculator when you've got whole numbers like 3 and 4 which you can square, and you can take the square roots of once you've added them. Alright then, I hope that was useful, and as usual, if you found the video tutorial interesting or even helpful, can you make sure you share that with your friends, and I hope to see you soon again. Take care, bye.